John. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning? Good, good, good. We just gotta hang in, baby, hang in. Boy, somebody's set up with all these Allen wrenches.
Well, I have a piece of equipment that I needed those for, so I had to bring.
I kind of like that though. That's
yeah,
handy.
It is.
It's better than that big old thing I had with the spring on it and all that. You know, that's nice.
They do it. So.
And they got the same thing for the star sockets and
Yep.
all those things. Torques.
Yeah, totally.
All right, everybody, make your way back in here and find a seat. Come on, come on. This is our last speaker of the day.
Woohoo!
Come on, people.
There's still a long day to go.
Yeah, but if you know Haig at all, you know it's going to be exciting.
No pressure there.
No pressure, no pressure. It's going to be awesome. Come on, peeps, let's go.
Sound check. Can you hear me? Sound good? Or is
Not
that just
on.
me? It's not on.
It's not on.
You're down there, okay.
So many podcasts you do now?
I have three.
Portuguese,
In Spanish.
Spanish,
And English. No Mandarin
Not
yet.
very good in English.
No, it's not good in English, that's for sure.
Did I call you? Did you call everybody? I did. Hey, everybody, time to find your seats. You know those, the BTZ, the ones you do when you hold joystick?
Yeah.
Look at one of those, but they're $400 to at least exactly find the one I trusted. That day shift there is $100. Wow. It's got built-in rechargeable batteries. I'm like, I can use my camera in that.
I need something like that for my.
Really good.
That is cool.
You know what you need? They have ones that you can put your mic
And it's a volume?
and volume. That's what you need for that.
That's exactly.
No, because you live around a lot. I mean, I can see the air. I know you. All right, guys, I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Dr. Haig John. He is from Florida. Gosh, how long have we known each other?
Probably 15 years.
At least 15 years. We met at DE.
That's right.
Wow, so 10, 15 years, maybe more. So he's been a trusted friend. He's one of those defenders of this sacred trust that we've been given, that BJ talked about. He's not just defending it, but he's putting it on display while he defends it. He's even taken all of the skills that he's accumulated over the short life he's lived. Is what you're on, 32?
53.
Yeah, I'm 55. And put them together and is presenting them and preserving, not just protecting, but also preserving the sacred trust by teaching people a new way of thinking about how to adjust. I think what you're going to see today is like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. Oh, that's a great way of thinking about something I already do. But he's also going to drop a lot of really cool knowledge on you. This man has energy, very stable, but very high energy. And if you've been around him at all this weekend or know him outside of this, you know what I'm talking about. He's got 3 podcasts. He does it in Portuguese, he does it in Spanish, and he tries to do it in English. And it's all about the philosophy, it's all about chiropractic, it's all about the good stuff of why we do what we do. In my vision, I see him being one of the names going forward in our profession, like a Myron Brown. That's huge shoes to fill. But that kind of caliber of guy is going to impact a lot of people. So pay good attention to him. Make sure you interact with him. I know we're going to get time up here on the tables to work with what he's sharing with us. We've got 2 hours before lunch. We'll take a lunch break, and then we got 4 hours with him this afternoon to practice and learn some more. So pace yourselves. We'll take a break about 3-ish. So we'll do 2 hours at lunch, 2 hours break, 2 hours break, and then we'll have the panel at the end. If you need to leave and go to the bathroom, just make sure it's just to do that. Obviously, the blue sheets are how we're keeping track of everything. Do what you can to interact with them. Do everything you can to learn from them. I still got people trying to get in here to take a seat. Gary.
Ding, 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 everybody.
All right, so it is a pleasure and an honor to introduce my good friend, Dr. Haig John.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's an absolute honor to be here. And I just want to start with how I was taught as a chiropractor to introduce myself. And this is what the old guys did. One of my mentors was Pasquale Sarasoli in Brooklyn, New York. Another one was Jim Sigafus. And when I first started with them, I said, boy, you got to introduce yourself right. And hi, I'm Haig John. I'm a chiropractor, Melbourne, Florida. Say who you are and be proud of it. Stand up for yourself. I am a chiropractor. I'm not a ter, right? I'm a tor. And be proud of that 100%. And what you do, everything you say, everything you touch for the rest of our lives, right? Because we're honoring the people that came before us. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Beth Zog having all those amazing slides. I saw her presentation in South Florida. She came and spoke to our group, the Florida Chiropractic Society, and I was in tears in the back. Because she showed all the great pictures of all the giants who are standing on their shoulders up right now. And I could feel, not the hair on my head, but the hair on my arms just literally standing up right now. Because I feel their spirits are in the room with us right now. I know there are. They're serving through us. And I feel so blessed to be a chiropractor and to serve you all because you're all serving your people when we leave here. And that chiropractic adjustment is, to me, priceless. We're looking at billing. We don't do much insurance in my office. I don't know who does because it doesn't pay for anything anyway. But ultimately, that adjustment is a gift for humanity. I give it to them freely. What they pay for is all the work that we have to do to actually get to this point. I've got small children where they have to eat. They have to have nice clothes and put shoes on their feet. You deserve to be and live well and be well in your life, so there's an exchange in the universe. I give everything I possibly can. It might not be a long adjustment because it's not about time, but quality. So I give that adjustment. I receive so everything else can be in balance in my life. And that's very, very important because a lot of us are givers. My first couple of years in practice, I was just giving it away. Then my wife, I got married after 2 years in practice. She's like, you're giving everything away. So she whipped everything into shape. Thank God for wives and husbands, for everybody who out there, okay? So I'm Haig John. I've changed the format just a little bit of what I expected, what I was going to do. So I'm going to start with innate adjusting workshops, and I'm going to add some philosophy into this. I was going to do philosophy first and adjusting later, but I like this. So, you know, we're switching up so we have some tables, and thank you for staying and let me use your table as well. So before I left, I was going to leave early. I have service hours until noon on Friday. I was going to leave right from the office, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Dr. Joe Cucci. He practices in Manhattan on Park Avenue, and they were on a cruise with his 3 boys. His middle boy is born 2 days after my daughter, both at 5:56 in the morning. They're both born at the same time, but 2 days apart. I love their family. It'd be great. Who knows what will happen in the future? They're both only 8, all right? But he calls me. He said, we're stopping. We're in Port Canaveral. Our boat, before it goes back to Manhattan, can I come and get an adjustment? Can you adjust my family? And what does a chiropractor say? Absolutely. Come on by. I'll change my plans. Get to be around chiropractors for a while. I'm excited. And then I also get a chance to get adjusted, right? It was that important. He packed up all the kids on a vacation, off a cruise, gets an Uber from Port Canaveral, costs about $100 and something each way, and to come in and get adjusted, and to have his family served. Chiropractic. And I was taught by Pasquale Sarasoli and my mentors, have other people serve your family too. Because you have emotional bonds and different things that you're dealing with in life that's not always easy to leave outside the door. So having people care for your family is very, very important. So this is the picture before we left. That's my daughter Bianca, my son Malcolm. That's Joe Cucci and the Cucci boys right there. And this is my house. And you know, I took a little excursion before coming over here. We played in the pool, jumped around, got adjusted, put them in an Uber, and I left too and came up here to hang out with you guys. So it's just such a blessing to be in chiropractic, to have chiropractic families around us. You know, I'm on the board of the Florida Chiropractic Society, similar to a group like this, and you know, we try and bring our kids to a little bit of those things. At least you come often, we want families to grow up together and have the same ideals, understand the same principles, right? My daughter already, she was at a friend's house, got a cut on her leg, and the mother got some alcohol out. She was, I prefer my innate to heal that, please, you know, don't touch it. Probably because she knew it was going to burn her leg, you know. Oh no, I'll let innate heal my leg. You know, put the alcohol in there. But I wouldn't have let him do it anyway. Because you want that to coagulate. Because you want to trust the body. What happens when you keep something wet, I see people putting like wet stuff on cuts, the kid gets wet and they're wiping it, but it doesn't have a chance to coagulate. It's not doing what innate meant it to do, because the educated mind gets in the way, I've got to do something. Well, you know, that whole system is set up for something amazing. You bleed a little bit, get some of the junk out, and you got this beautiful Band-Aid that starts creating more skin. Underneath it, it starts growing beautiful new life. That doesn't change once we get beyond the skin. All this magic that's inside of us, created by the creator of the cosmos. Didn't forget about each and every one of us when we came out onto this side of the world. We know that as chiropractors, but the rest of the people have been convinced otherwise. And so the more we're warriors for them, and for chiropractic, well, why do we want to stand up for chiropractic? Because I love it. It's saved my life. My mother's, we'll talk about those stories later. But ultimately, and I've seen the change, and I'm sure you have, of the people that you've cared for, you've seen it change their lives. So, in a way, it's for me because I selfishly want to hold on to it because I love it, because it's changed my life. But it's for the people, the denizens of the earth. They deserve chiropractic unsullied. When we water something down, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but when you water something down, that soil just turns to mud. And it sits there, and then the plant dies because it's not getting the life that it truly needs. Chiropractic needs that stimulation of life. It needs all of us. It needs us working in unity. We might have different approaches, and thank goodness we do, because we're not all the same. I can't adjust like Clarence Gonstead. You know, my body is different than Beth Zog. I can't do the things sometimes as other people do because I'm different. Thank goodness we have other approaches that have brought this wonderful thing to serve chiropractic to the people. My mentor, his name was in Toggle, his name was Clarence Jensen. He was in California. Forgive me, I forgot the year, but the 1950s, and he was at Clearview with BJ and Dr. Nell Williams. So it was Dr. Nell Williams and Clarence Jensen. And I was telling Dee Dee, we were talking about him the other day, and he goes, we used to call him White Sox. I said, White Sox? There's got to be a story behind that. He'd show up to clinic in a suit every time he's wearing white socks. So we called him White Sox over at Palmer back in the day. I just crack it up. I just love those old stories, and then the stories we get about BJ. So I've spent my life, my chiropractic life, seeking out the men and women that I can get as close to BJ, as close to Clay Thompson, and close to Clarence Gonstead and Sid Williams and all the Dee Dee Palmer, Pasquale Sarasoli. He didn't know Dee Dee. That was a little before those days. But the guys that he was mentored with knew him. And he got it from them. So it was from them. And we were just talking, I was just talking to Dr. Zog out in the hallway. It's up to us to share those messages. I can easily, down in my life, absolutely happy live. I've got 2 small children. I'm 53 years old. You know, I can live in joy and just coast. But I owe it to the people that gave it to me, that saved my chiropractic life, is to share it with as many people as I possibly can in this world. And I try to do my best at doing it, and I'm turning up the juice a little bit more lately. Because my son just started 1st grade, my daughter's in 3rd. It gets slightly easier, I guess. I think you just kind of get the hang of things by then. It's not necessarily easier, just different complications, I think is what it is. But it gives me a little more opportunity. I can get out and teach more. This is a chiropractic lifestyle. Chiropractors around us, happy, loving, and then coming to share and hanging out with more chiropractors for the weekend. What else? I mean, this is bliss to me. I start a lot of my talks. I do office talks. We do them weekly. I do big ones quarterly. I'm starting to do them big for the communities. Like, I want massive presentations of chiropractic and vitalistic communication to people, right? This is a very important statement. I love starting with this because it says so much. I am a doctor of chiropractic because I honor the inborn potential of everyone to be truly healthy. No one is left out. Everyone has the potential to heal, or else you're under the soil. Period. Can anyone benefit from chiropractic care? Yes. Because I desire to help the newborn, the aged, and those without hope. Has anyone ever come into you and said, I've just lost all hope. You're my last stop? Because they've, and this is a strong word, but they've been raped of hope outside in the world. And that's no joke. My mother has had 2 triple bypasses. They wanted to do a 3rd one. I was practicing on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. That's where I'm from. I was living with my father, 88th Street and Park Avenue. And the hurricanes hit in Florida. It was 2004. I went down to help my mom out. There's debris everywhere. And she has 3 steps to come into her house. And if you ever see those guys in Mount Everest, you know, they spend about $150,000 to take 1 step and breathe some oxygen, take 1 step. She's the same way. She takes 1 step, all the drugs, carotids 99% blocked. Coronary arteries, similar. On all the chemistry, they want to split open her carotid arteries, open them up, scrape them out, sew them back, and put it back in an 85-year-old woman. The potential for stroke is exponential after that. So I said to the doctor, I said, what do you ever think about quality of life? Well, we're not going to talk about that, but this is what she needs. But her potential for a stroke is extremely high. Yes. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay? So, and I've been through 2 bypasses with her. And I have never seen, you know, the Michelin Man. My mother is 4'11", blonde hair, blue eyes. She is probably, you know, she's 92 years old. She's about 89 pounds right now, but she's never been over 100 in her life. She was so bloated, she looked like the Michelin Man. That was her 2nd bypass. And I thought, I wrote her obituary that day. I said, there is no way a human being is going to pull through this. Innate was on the job. She had more to do in this life, and she pulled through it. And I was just shocked. I really didn't think she was going to make it. That was her last one when she was in her 70s. You can only have 3 in your lifetime. So what she was doing was pushing it as far as she can, suffering as long as she could, because she knows the time limit. She fell right in line with those time limits, 7 to 12 years. You get your next bypass. It's not a cure, it's a symptom relief, right? We all talk about that in chiropractic very often. The rest of the world doesn't really understand that. Symptom relief. So I started adjusting her twice a day. I moved down from Manhattan taking her blood pressure, which was 225 over 110 and fluctuating, time bomb. She was ready to go any minute. Cholesterol, 400, 500, it's up here, whatever. And so I'm adjusting her twice a day, taking her blood pressure twice a day. Her blood pressure normalized 125 over 75. Beautiful. We go to the, God bless you. We went to the cardiologist, and he said it showed 50 and 60%. I said, yes, how awesome is that? Look at you, Mom, high five. I'm going to high five that doctor. Woo! Come on. He said, oh no, that doesn't change. You're just going to have to suffer with this until you die. I'm a very kind person, but I love my mother, okay? And I told that man every single thing I thought about him, with good reason. And to have somebody like that even interacting with the public, let alone over a counter at McDonald's or Starbucks, is a crime against humanity. Stealing someone's hope. That is truly, I mean, it's heartbreaking to me. That's one example in a small town in Florida, in the middle of nowhere. 3 months later, he talks her in, we switched cardiologists to get a mammogram, first one ever in her whole life, and said, you have a potential for cancer. And I said, can you let me see that? The only thing it said on the radiologist's report is we see a shadow from possible lung collapse from her bypass. Nowhere did it say anything about cancer. So I call that guy. And I said, you know what I think of you, partner? I'm not going to say it in public right now. Okay? That is a crime. We have to open our mouths. That man called me 3 times, that medical doctor called me 3 times. I said, how many times you call my mother? 0. We're working with a system that has nothing to do with health, vitality, or life. We're here to change this world. I'm showing up here and left my family to serve you so you can serve your people. Because I love you and I love those people that I don't even know. They deserve it. They're getting that garbage everywhere. This is one little small town, Sebastian, Florida, right above Vero Beach. You know where that is? Nobody knows where Sebastian is. It's got good waves. But it's happening all over the world, robbing people of hope. And those without hope, we're giving people hope. My mother, she's 92 years old, no medication, healthiest person at that age that I know. She's losing some of her faculties. But that hope is huge. Because I choose to care for the patient with the disease, not the disease. The word treatment that has whittled its way into chiropractic is the incorrect vernacular to use in chiropractic. You treat symptoms, you care for people. A treatment is for a symptom only. It is not for people. You don't care for, you care for people, you don't treat them. It is very important that we stick with our lexicon of our language because it's small. Adjustment, subluxation, that's just about it. We don't have much. They want to change them all to manipulate. That is an osteopathic term. Why do they want to dumb down our vocabulary to absorb us? We adjust. Subluxations. Okay? We care for people. There was, Sigafus told me a story once. I'm going to use a little foul language, and I apologize. And this was a gentleman he knew. It was in Amish country. He had a big sign on the wall, very religious people, and he said, I would rather you say shit than treatment. Okay? Dee Dee would agree. Dee Dee did the same things. He set our tone in the beginning. It's called the Chiropractor's Adjuster for a reason. It's not even volume 1, it's pre-volume 1. Dee Dee Palmer's book, 1910. We're dissecting it right now in one of my podcasts at Synapse Philosophy Group. I'll give you those later. Everyone's invited to join. Dr. Hoskins comes sometimes. And what we're really doing is putting this stuff in. Kids don't read anymore. So I'm putting it in MP3. I have professional readers putting things on MP3 so they can listen to it, but then we're recording it in our discussions. We're reading it out loud, then we discuss the green books. Dee Dee is meaty, so we keep going back to that book. The 1914 book, The Chiropractor, amazing book. We've broken that down a couple of times, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to show you some quotes from it soon. Because I wish to assist rather than intrude, to free rather than control. Even some of our care, a lot of it's kind of controlling. And I set care plans for people, don't get me wrong. But really, I want to see them change. I'm not stuck in the care plan. If you're getting better faster, we don't have to stick to this. Let's see things change. I want to see you change dynamically. Because I seek to correct the cause, not its effect. Because I know doctors do not heal. Only the body can heal itself. Because I have been called to serve others. Because I want to make a difference. Because every day I get to witness miracles because I know it's right. We have been given a sacred trust. Guard it well. And share it well. That's an important caveat. I add that one to it. Because we have to share it. If I kept it to myself, I'm doing a disservice to chiropractic. And I'm doing a disservice to humanity. And that's each and every one of us. I never expected to be a speaker at DE and other places. I've spoken at when Life West, they changed it from Lyceum. I was in the Lyceum days. And at Singaphore's Gathering, I'm an international speaker. I speak all over the world. I love going down. We get to schools down in Mexico. Dr. Beth has been down there recently. I've been going down there a few years. I'd like to say I've inspired a few chiropractors to go there. They're passionate about our principles. They're passionate about our philosophy. Most of the things of what I'm doing, I'm recording this today, and we're going to put Spanish subtitles, and we put Portuguese subtitles in it. We teach a lot in Brazil and Mexico, and then the rest of South America and Central America is coming up next, and then also Europe. And there are a lot of great people going to Europe. Not many people were going down south of the border. Now there are. I'm glad you're going. Now, this is from D.D. Palmer's book in 1914. He died in 1913. His wife, the last wife he had, she's the one that compiled this together from his writings. They were actually like his class notes. He would hand them out, and these are things, the pamphlets that he would give. The first chapter is the moral and religious duty of a chiropractor. Many people don't get past the title. It's not a religion. D.D. said it's not, and he's not trying to make it a religion. There's some history of things just to preserve stuff, but he says it. I read what his word is, and I take it for what he's saying. I'm not trying to make this a religion. A knowledge of the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic contains a moral and religious duty. Morally, it serves as our basis of humane action according to our reason and judgment concerning our physical welfare. Religiously, it governs our motives of divine unity with respect to our advancement of our spiritual existence. Advancement of our spiritual existence throughout eternity. Sometimes your back might hurt, and you get adjusted. I'm doing it for my spiritual eternity. All right? Absolutely. Thinking so far beyond anything we could just move in a bone, take pressure off the nerve. Fantastic. You're saving lives. But you're also connecting that man or woman to the spiritual consciousness of the universe, which is God. Its principles embrace the, did I say that? Yes. Its principle embrace the faith, belief, practices, obligations, and the conduct. We just had a couple of hours from Doc over there, thank you very much, of our lives toward God and man. D.D. Palmer. Our philosophy that has been skipped by every school, even the ones close to us in town, or in Spartanburg. They're leaving out spirit. If you leave out spirit, BJ even said it. Okay, the neurotempo, What is it? Mentipograph. Neurotempomentigraph, right? Is that right? Neuroencephalomentigraph. That's it. Which is basically service EMG now, if you didn't know that. The reason why B.J. Palmer developed that cost him more than $200,000, and he worked for almost 30 years trying to perfect it, is to measure spirit within. All the other things that experiments, all those things, that one to me was the most important. He said, all the men and women out there doing all this research in the sickness world, you can't leave that as a constant, right? He's thinking in quantum physics in the quantum world. He's thinking in spirit. I need to measure spirit. When we're doing these other experiments, we're trying to measure spirit to have an outcome, a proper outcome. Because I want to affect the life within and measure it. That's where that comes from. He said that in volume 39, his final book. We just finished that one in Synapse Philosophy on Tuesday last week. We finished the whole book. One of my favorite books. And I never knew it. BJ's not easy to read. The man never learned how to use a comma or a conjunction. All right? And he makes up spelling for his own words. Okay? He makes up his own words. Not always easy, but there's philosophy in it. Beautiful stuff. So BJ was saying, yes. Where did we leave off on that? Neurokilometer, great. Thermography, fantastic. We also need to measure life. He was on it. We've all really kind of dropped the ball on that. The whole research system in the whole world. First, if they're doing research on subluxated people, the outcome is, to me, trash. They have to be clear to have a proper outcome in any type of research, whether it's drugs or anything else. If the neural system's clear, you have a valid research system, right? If they're subluxated, the outcome's going to be skewed. We have no idea about the outcome. It's incorrect, okay? So this is, I didn't realize it was right here. I didn't even think I'm reading off of there. I've got it on this cool monitor right here. But that's page 9. Page 9. I mean, right at the beginning of the book. Page 3, I'm going to give you an assignment. Go reach page 3 of that, okay? That book is it's in the public domain. You can download it in a PDF for free because it's whatever, some free, library online has uploaded, and you can get it for free. I send it all over the world. We've translated it into Spanish and Portuguese now. We're just finalizing that. I have some great chiropractors helping me make sure that the translation translated properly for our technical terms. Subluxation and innate mostly, right? So we're getting that more around to the world for our brothers and sisters to create more unity in chiropractic. Not to separate chiropractors, but to unify chiropractors. That's what we're really doing. It's not to separate because you do arthrostim or you do an activator or you use, maybe some muscle stim. That's okay. I'm not judging you against it. You know it's not chiropractic because it's not going to affect the subluxation really. But it has its merits in certain ways. We'll go through some of that science if you want to talk about it. But ultimately, we're really talking about connecting man the spiritual. He said the material with the spiritual. He didn't actually say man with the man with the physical, the man with the spiritual. He said connecting the material with the spiritual. And he also said the spiritual needs the material as much as we need the spiritual. You think about that, right? We're just bags of God in a meat bag, right? Keeping this thing animated and alive and reproducing cells. So beautiful. Digesting the amazing food. I had a great breakfast here this morning. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Broke bread with my brothers over here. And, I love to think about that. And Nate's on the job right now, breaking it down into the usable molecule into this beautiful living clay we rode the earth with and we serve others from. Amazing. Giving glory to that. Giving people that glory inside of them. I watched a story, I think it was Sigafus that was talking to, it's on YouTube, to Herbert Roth's Reaver. He was like 90-something years old. I think it was Reaver. Forgive me if I got the names wrong. And he was, Herbert Roth's Reaver, but he was in his 90s. 92 when he was adjusting. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Well, he said, I get to teach everybody about innate, the spirit within. I'm doing this to teach people how magnificent they are. Whoa! Where'd we lose that? That's giving them hope. It's helping them change the world themselves. There's another story about Dr. Reaver that I absolutely love. I read the book, and I think it was Bobby Braille that put that book together. Am I right about that? Anyway, I'm misquoting maybe, but he was adjusting baseball players. Pardon me? The Cincinnati Reds, that's it. And they were Latino, and people didn't like it. And he got beat up with 2x4s, beaten near to death with boards. And his wife said, you know, listen, you don't need to go back to practice. He said, I'm getting out of here and go serve those people, call them up, start adjusting again. Am I correct about that story? It's in the book. I read this story. Amazing to serve the people. Doesn't matter what you look like, chiropractic is for everyone. And my dogs too. Go ahead. Yeah. Let our chiropractor go. I'm trying to find the picture. I have it saved on one hard drive somewhere. I can't remember. And I think it was him adjusting people in jail. The bars are around there. He's adjusting somebody. I'm like, man, that is just the coolest picture. And I think the cop and the jailer is standing right there, and he's adjusting people. I love those type of things. So, like I said, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And I really feel they're sitting on our shoulders too. They're serving through us, absolutely, positively. That's my daughter. She's moments old, okay? This is not her first adjustment. We transferred, we're doing a home birth, my wife. I had a small part to play in it, really. And so we're doing a home birth, and she's sunny side up, and she pushes for the legal limit, plus probably a whole lot more. I'm not going to say it out in social media or whoever might be recording, but it was a dozen hours pushing. Baby didn't progress. I adjusted her, you know. Her pelvis moved and her water broke better, actually. Things changed. Still no progression. I said, okay, let's call it. We'll go to the hospital. And the ambulance driver, she said, I really hope the baby's born here, in the ambulance. She knows. Once you cross that threshold, it's a different world. The ambulance driver said that to me, and I was like, whoa. Okay, baby, come on. Push the baby. Didn't happen. Now, I don't suggest this to everyone. My father was internal medicine. I've kind of grown up around hospitals in a way. I don't know. Did that give me any experience? Probably not really. But they wheel her into the room. The doctor says, okay, I'm delivering this baby. And I said, wait a minute. She's delivering this baby. And I'm catching. She didn't like that. She goes, all right, get her to Pitocin, blah, blah, blah. I said, whoop. No. Just wait a moment. Is the baby's heartbeat, everything's healthy, mommy's healthy? Yes. All right, we can wait. Let's just see if she progresses. She didn't like that either. So that doctor stormed out. We tried. Baby didn't progress. So she storms in. What do you want me to do now? Just like that. I was like, we'll take the smallest, tiniest amount of Pitocin. She goes, well, we just have this bag with this amount. I said, get a syringe, you just suck it out of there. The teeniest, tiniest bit. She's like, she was like Tom and Jerry. Steam out of her ears, and flipped her lid, the whole 9 yards. And I just stood there. So the teeniest, tiniest bit, and then baby progressed. She wasn't breathing. Went straight to the little incubator area thing, and the nurse, and I didn't recognize her because I'm in, protect the cave. I'm the caveman protecting my family. That's all I could see was one of my patients. She goes, get over here. I adjust the baby. And I adjusted her. That was it. Beautiful, 99%. 98, 99, 100. Breathing. Gorgeous from that adjustment. And having a conscious patient that I've educated. Come over here. Get over here right now. Right? So I'm bodyguard. I'm guarding my baby. No vaccines. I'm watching. I got my eye on you. After a full night, she was born at 5:56 in the morning. After a full night all up, and I'm still on high adrenaline, and we get to the NICU, and it's the same thing. I've got tunnel vision. I can't see anybody else. And, you know, one of the NICU nurses puts her hand on my shoulder, and she says, "Hey, Doc." I was like, "Oh my gosh." All three NICU nurses were my patients. And there were 4 NICU nurses. The 4th one was in high school. She was my girlfriend, okay? But we were good friends. We were still good friends. Amazing person. She's an amazing mom. She has 5 kids. And she's like, "Hey, we're going to take care of you. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right." God was on my side. I felt the angels around me. He brought angels to me. We were all protected. When you're serving, you're protected. Amen. That moment changed my life because I had a baby girl.
Yeah.
And she was safe. And she was healed. And she was healthy. I didn't ever look at her for one moment that she was sick because they wanted to give her antibiotics. She had meconium in her mouth. That's not feces, you realize. It's a plug, mostly mucus. Okay? There's very little bacteria really in that. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do this. But I had angels on my side. I tell you, right after that, I passed out. Kerplunk. And then I had my first migraine I've ever had in my entire life. It was painful. And I thought, now I know what people are going through. I know what a migraine feels like. I don't want another. But I had all those people that were caring for me, my wife and my child, like, you know, they were both queens, and it was beautiful. But if it wasn't for chiropractic, how would I know what to do? And I really, in a way, I'm winging it. But I have an education, a conscious education about what chiropractic is and the magic that's inside of every single one of us. Truly amazing. Think about just digesting your food. We learn a little bit of chemistry. I mean, I got through biochem. That's all that mattered in chiropractic school. I tell everybody, you just gotta get through biochem. Everything's easier. But you don't really understand how your body makes life. 3 million cells a minute, and it knows what to do with them. You got a stem cell. You need a new eyeball cell. You need a couple liver cells. You need a couple fingertip cells, or whatever it might be. We're going to make the best one we can. When we're subluxated, is it making the best? It's making the best that it can, but it's not the best that it can potentially make. Because each time we get adjusted, my mother, her heart disease, completely gone. She had her first bypass in her 50s, her second one in her 70s. Her heart disease really started in her 20s. So her body knew what to do once we gave it the ability to do it clearly. The potential was always there. She was 100% God. She just had some mechanical interference ultimately. But was it by mistake? I might not be in the position I'm in now of who I am or what I believe in if that didn't happen. Who knows? Everything that challenge that we've had in our life, from maybe being bullied in school, to understand when a kid comes in the office as being bullied, to maybe a past when we've been less than honoring of our bodies, maybe drugs or alcohol, and you have the alcoholic come in the office, or the drug addict. I take care of a lot of homeless people. I have my office is right in between. It's called Genesis House. It's a place where moms that don't have anywhere to go. Okay, husbands in jail, or God, you know, the stories that I hear, I can't even hear them anymore. Right? They finally have a safe place. So I care for those moms and I care for those babies. You know, we're touching lives every single time. That person that jumps up, woohoo, you think, you know, hey, it was just a regular old adjustment. You don't know what happens to that person before they got there and then after they leave. Because their tone changes. Talking to AT&T, arguing about their phone, their cell phone bill. They have a different vibe to that person over that phone. They're changing that person's life. They're going out in the world with a higher vibration, and they're changing lives just by being present. Because you've cleared their neural system, and they're pushing out more God out of their body. Because they're expressing life at a greater potential than they did 1 minute before your, 1 second before your adjustment. So we have so much in our hands, so much responsibility. It's a sacred trust, and guard it well. It's a sacred trust, and share it well too. It's not easy. I get up and I go out and I'm doing my best, and I enjoy it. You don't have to become a speaker. You don't have to, you know, teach technique. But thank you for doing that and stepping up and doing those things. But getting out and telling one person, one patient about chiropractic without fear. Having a mission greater than our fears. You know, when I'm in Walmart, Walmart's easy. You go in Walmart, you go out through a whole stack of cards in minutes, right? People dragging themselves around. You go there at like midnight, which I like to go so I can get in and out faster. Man, you can run a whole practice just by giving out your cards at Walmart because they need you. I had a patient, they came in and she said, we were standing in line. It was at Target actually. They were at Target. We were standing in line and this woman told me I should come see you. I was like, well, she was right. I had no idea why. But she's right. Tell me why. My daughter has a dead leg and hasn't crawled. She's 11 months old. And they want to do surgery on her and whatever. And I said, okay, all right. And then the father is an engineer. I'm on the Space Coast. I am surrounded by every type of engineering you can imagine. So very analytical people. Luckily, I can put chiropractic in engineering terms. It's not that hard. Mechanical, electrical, hydrodynamics. So, but the father had already been indoctrinated. Well, they're going to do this and just like changing spark plug, you know. Change this here, and I was like, you know what? Wouldn't you rather have your engineering, your original engineering first? Once you change that engineering at 11 months old, do you think it'll be the same when she grows up to be an adult? Think about that. How many surgeries to adapt that child at 11 months old to be 21 years old? He was like, that's too logical for me. So you have a lifetime of surgeries to care for this one time where you just said, all right. So the mother was a teacher, and I trust mother's intuition more than anything. Moms, no. Yes. She said, we're doing this. So, you know, Dad said, okay. So I'm checking her atlas. Actually, I'm adjusting her atlas. And the father said, it's here. Like I'm an idiot, and I'm here for 45 minutes of them telling me about this surgery. It's here, her problem, she can't move her leg. And I was like, I understand, but it's coming from right here at the brainstem. You think about this, if it's a river of life, you dam the river up here, it's not getting the water to the rest of the system. Let's put it in a million different ways that people can understand. And he's like, had a little bit of this, and the wife said, you go stand outside.
Yeah.
She did. Like that. You know you better do it when you get that voice. Look, between the teeth. So he stayed up, he went outside. 3 adjustments. That little girl went whoosh. She didn't have to learn to crawl. She didn't have to try and figure it out. God had it. Her and Nate knew what to do. She brought, I'm getting this, my hair standing up. She bringing that leg, she brought that leg right underneath her. And by that time, she was 11 months, almost 12 months. And by that time, I think she was just about, a year old. And she starts pulling herself up. And then she started standing. They were going to put her, have a surgery, put her in the Forrest Gump braces, right? I don't know what you call them, and it helps a lot of children that families haven't been educated about chiropractic, but she's going to have an impediment her entire life, consciously thinking she's less than perfect. She walked. She's a normal, beautiful little girl. Her parents moved away. I found them a chiropractor in North Carolina. And the mother said, I'm going to tell her the story her whole life. I hope she becomes a chiropractor. One adjustment. Opening our mouths, telling the truth. Saving every child. It's not about that one child. It's not about my mom. It's about all of them. Spreading this truth. They deserve it. They deserve it. My series is innate adjusting. And to me, innate is God inside. So this is giving that glory to him. Innate baby adjusting is one module. Innate adjusting is another. And then we do multiple things in growing your ability to even speak and communicate chiropractic. One thing Pasquale did for us was teach us how to speak. And in his meetings in Brooklyn, you got 3 minutes to speak, 2 minutes to answer up to 3 questions. You got to be concise. Get your point across. Get a move on, and say what you mean. So he trained us in that. God bless him. He's passed now at 12 years. It feels like yesterday to me. Same with Sigafus. And Dr. Sid, let me tell you. In 2012, I went to the CCE meeting, and I was going guns blazing, man. This is it. I won't mention the college presidents that wrote the definition of chiropractic. And then the CCE, whatever guy is, I don't even know if he has a title anymore, said, you got 3 minutes to speak and up to 2 minutes to answer a couple of questions. And I felt Pasquale on my shoulder. I trained you for this moment, son. I told him a story. Arnold Brunier was there reading off lists, and Jay Comerick, had great points. They're reading lists, and I decided I'm telling a story. They've said what we need. I'm going to help them understand how valuable this is. I can do it in 3 minutes. I told them of a mom coming into my office. She was 16, had a baby, and everybody's pressuring her. I mean, that girl, I can't imagine the stress she was going through of a young girl having a baby, everybody telling her what to do, how bad she is. That girl was going through a lot. And this baby's failing to thrive. If you've ever held one of these children in your hands, you will never forget it. And this is a spiritual room. My hair's standing on edge. Gray, never cried in its life, and cold, the whole body, and just limp in your hands. It looked like a little alien. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's something I will never forget. And I just have this thing, as soon as I hold babies, I hold them like this, holding the Atlas, feet towards me. And so she handed the baby to me, and I'm holding it. And there is no way I'm not going to adjust this baby. If she tries to run, the baby's already adjusted. She gave me permission. It's wrong, Phil, but she did. But she was on her way to the pharmacy, because this baby's dying. Well, we'll go to the pharmacy. We'll get pills for you. They're going to do this. They'll have that for you. They'll be prepared for you when you get there. And that was at the corner of my office, down at the corner. She said, I don't know why I'm here. I just turned into your driveway instead of theirs. Am I in the right place? And I said, yes, you are in the right place. And the office was packed in that moment. And she's telling the story, and you can hear it just getting quieter and quieter, people listening to this story, and the whole room, you could have heard a pin drop. And I'm holding this baby, and I'm holding that Atlas just like this, like that. I can feel it. This is that moment right now. And the baby turns bright red and screams bloody murder, and not bloody murder, chiropractor. Let's take that out. Screams like a baby, okay? Screams like a beautiful baby, a healthy baby, and turns bright red. There is not a dry eye in this office, let me tell you. Okay? So I told that story with a few embellishments. There is not a dry eye in the CCE, in this whole group of men and women, besides a couple. I won't mention their names, not worth it. And the director of the CCE said, "You keep saving those babies." And I said, "It's up to you if chiropractic saves these babies. If you make the wrong decisions, those babies die. It's up to you." The things that we've learned through our lives are there for a reason. That man came to me leaving. We're leaving this meeting. And he said, "I've never been adjusted before. Will you adjust me?" Let me repeat that. The director, or whatever his title was, who cares, came to me, asked me, "I've never been adjusted before. I'm on the Council of Chiropractic Education. None of these idiots that are sitting around in this horseshoe of tables," pardon my, probably shouldn't say that, but they are, "and none of these people have adjusted them." And I know most of those chiropractors. He asked me, "Will you adjust me?" And I'm going to say this, I didn't adjust him. I was floored. I was like, I couldn't believe it. My knees buckled. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "I'll do it later." I didn't know what to say. For me, being speechless it's a very rare thing.
Amen.
So he knows it. So it's up to us, because the perceived leaders are not leading our chiropractic life or chiropractic profession. It's up to us to get out there. We got to tell the stories. We got to tell people, because once the public demands what we've really got, the world will change for the better. There's no doubt about it. A better world starts with well-adjusted babies. Period. I'm going to show this little video. Okay, Gideon is 1 day old, and he has, right now I just checked, he's got a little short leg on the right, but I can feel immediately he has an atlas subluxation on the left side, and a little bit of occiput on the right, and just a little TMJ on the left side, same side as his atlas, but it's not always that way. And just check, adjust his TMJ. Oh, there we go. We got a little fart there. That's a good one. And just the touch of his atlas actually in the check, he balanced there, and that's when you saw him do that stretch out. And then here you can see he's just more at ease, and then give me your leg, Gideon, and he's balanced. Beautiful. And you can see he's already holding his in the center from the head turn to the left. That was awesome. Beautiful. And even that little yawn, that's releasing meningeal tension. You can see that. Now I'm adjusting. I'm just holding just very lightly at T1. And it just melted under my finger. As soon as he turned his head, it was clear. That is beautiful. Okay, and Gideon is adjusted. That's an adjustment on a newborn, 1 day old, Gideon. So I made a little mistake in that. He wasn't 1 day old. He was born that day at 7 in the morning. That's about 10 a.m. The mother, we're absolutely getting this baby immediately adjusted. Now, that was beautiful. That was God gas, okay? Baby, there's almost no beginning of milk. The first nursing is almost nothing most of the time. That baby didn't eat a meal before that, right? Where'd that gas come from? Whoa, I think that's just amazing. I thought it was the most amazing moment, one of my most amazing moments in life. Where did that come from? Just before that adjustment, if someone comes in with a baby born that day, I'm like, let's get the camera, do you mind if we video this? I'm very present in doing my baby adjustments, but we had to get that one captured. I have a lot of them, actually. Just before walking into that room, there is a mom who I've cared for her for many, many years, and her drug-addicted daughter, who we have adjusted many times after she's OD'd. They've brought her back, I've adjusted her, and just before then, she accomplished her job. And the night before, she actually passed. And the mother shared that to me in that moment. And it was somebody I cared about. I love her, and I love the mom, I love the whole family. And for me to serve in that next room, I wanted to just go in and say, you know what just happened to me? That would be about me. So being able to even just go from one room, leave it there, and go into the next is part of our training. We got to love people in the moment. But we can't bring something from another room in there, or something from our own life in there. Life happens. Leaving that outside world is what the hardest part that I train my team on, the front desk and all those things, because they've worked in the regular world before. This is not the regular world in my office. This is a temple. They know when a sales call comes, somebody talked about sales calls earlier. When a sales call comes, oh, we're in service hours. He does not take phone calls. Click. Right? And, you know, they'll try sneaky. They've got some sneaky ones. My CA, she understands sneaky. Oh, he doesn't take, he does, oh, no. Click. You know? Because I have to stay in service. I do my best not to get on social media while I'm in service in the office. Sometimes it sneaks in. Someone wants a referral in Walla Walla, Washington. You know, I might do something for a second. But staying on that path in the day, keeping our mind clear, keeping our spirit clear. In the mornings, we record one of my other podcasts, and that's Innate Express, expressing our innate, and we're doing it very quickly in the morning. We read spiritual books in the morning. There's a great one called Deep Breath of Life by Alan Cohen, and each day of the month for a whole year you have a reading. It's one page. Dr. Sid Williams, we have his Lasting Purpose. There's one that it's weekly reads. It's just one page. So we read those. We read Proverbs as it relates to the day of the month. We found that was easy, just keeps us on track, right? And then we do a little meditation or grounding or talk about abundance philosophy, and that's the part that we record. So it's Innate Express podcast. It's on everything. And a lot of people use it with their teams. I've been doing meditations like that for 30 years. Don't expect everybody to do it. I don't expect associate docs to do it. Here, I got one. Just start your team off just getting grounded for a moment. If we're all out here and running into the office at, you know, at 8:50 or 8:55 and going and jump on people, you know, sometimes you might have to do that. You got to get your kid to school or something, you know, and run in and care for the people. But really, you want to be in that level of peace. I'm not thinking about the bills to be paid. I'm not thinking about my associate just quit. I'm not thinking about whatever it might be. I am in present time consciousness with you. Each individual we're over is an altar. That is a spiritual altar. We have to give it the grace that it deserves. Doesn't matter how old. Baby, it's easy to think of that, right? But the crabby person on the table that smells, or whatever it might be, just been working all day, is covered in drywall powder. You know, I got guys like that, and we got to wipe down tables, and they feel bad about it. They know they got to get adjusted, but that's the way it is, and I don't make them feel bad about it. I let a CA go the other day because she went in, not the greatest hygiene of a couple of people, and they were kind of smelly, and they left, she's spraying around the smell, and, you know, and then she's not really giving them the love when they get there. And I was like, that's not going to work for me. It's got to be 100% love, or it's not. So I let that person go. She was great at collecting, actually. It's hard to let that person go. But I'm in a spiritual account. That's what's important to me. I want that person served with the greatest care and love, and that service comes from the moment they think of us, and then the phone call, and then the desk, and then the second time at the desk after their adjustment. They need 100% love. Whether they're a pig farmer or on Wall Street. I don't care. They get the same. So when that continuity is not happening in my office, listen, we got to end this relationship right now. Because it's the people that count. I had an intern come into the office, and he started off as my CA. I've had 2 CAs become chiropractors, which I think is fun. Or 3, excuse me. And but he came in the office thinking he knew everything, and he started trying to take control of stuff. I was like, all right, that's really annoying, but let's see what you got. But then, one of my people comes in, and he's going through a divorce. He has a hydroponic farm that's going crazy, and he's an engineer. His daughter burns something like 6,000 calories because she's 100% special needs and in techni all the time. His daughter had some catastrophe. The guy's world was completely upside down. And this dude is asking him to make him, the guy made cheesecakes while he was in college. He made his money making cheesecakes, and I let the intern know that. So he's beating this guy up to make him a cheesecake. I mean, literally, it was that stupid when he's just dragging himself in, barely surviving in the day. I said, you're just completely unconscious of the people around you, because it's all about you. If it's all about you, it's not about them. It's got to be about them. People don't come in for you, they come in for themselves. When we make it about them, we're changing their world. If it's, hey, I'm really cool, I got the greatest technique, and I'm the best. So what? No, you're not. They have all the life inside them. We don't even do the adjustment. BJ and Dee Dee said that. Innate does. You're delivering an influence into that body. Innate knows where it's supposed to go. I can't force it in there. If I force it, I'm going to get an equal opposite action back. Newton. So it's about the people. We've got to honor these people where they come from. That's my spine truck. That's my spine truck and my little girl right over there. We're taking the graphics off of there. We're updating the graphics on there. But the spine truck, I love artists sculpted that. And I absolutely love it. Kids love it. We drive it around everywhere. Kids climb all over it. But it's fun, Oh, you're the chiropractor with the big spine. I'm like, yeah, we dug it out of the backyard. But people have to know about you. I dreamt about this. I woke up and I said, I'm going to find somebody to make it. And I did. I don't know how I did that. But he just appeared, sculpted the thing. And, we drive it around. I stop and get gas that thing off. 3 people. Oh my gosh. I've been looking for a chiropractor. I'm like, well, you just found one. Awesome. Let's make your appointment now. I don't give out cards anymore. I do give out cards some, but I make the appointment on the spot and give it to him as an appointment card. I've got you at 9 o'clock, Doris. All right? I'm going to call you. One of my programs, it's marketing. And, I taught marketing. I love it because people don't come to you unless they know you exist. They got to know you exist. If they don't know social media, I just opened another practice and I was like, let's do hardcore social media. I'm going to dump thousands into it every month. And I'm going to see how well it works. Wah, 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 right? It was an experiment. It wasn't a waste of money. It was an experiment. But you know what? People don't come in on social media. They might check you out. That's a secondary thing. Look at your reviews. But they don't come because of social media. You got to go out and meet people. Hey, I'm a lot like, emulate Sid Williams. Hey, happy to meet you. Good to meet you. Go out and meet people. Shake hands. Give them a little love. They want to know you care about them. They want to know a flesh person really exists. This is a call to Aquinas. I got permission from Gil Headley to use this. He is one of the most amazing anatomists alive today. He happened to be my neighbor where my other office was. He just moved to Colorado. Great guy. And the dissection at this level is truly incredible to be able to dissect at this level. But we're going to talk about the dura later. What is that part does that dura play in our adjustment? Are we taking it into consideration? That's a call to Aquinas, which I think is just, the neural system is just absolutely mind mind-boggling amazing, right? But this was, we're going to get into more of that later on today. But that is the call upon. I've never seen a better dissection outside of Netter, right? Which is a drawing. It's just absolutely beautiful. But you go to gilheadley.com and just see some really amazing dissections. He has a lot of free stuff. And this is my baby girl right here. And what we're going to do is talk about the sacrum adjustment on a toddler. Okay, put your face down. Okay, so we're going to do some adjusting of the cervical spine, the occiput of the toddler. Or you're a preschooler, you're not a toddler anymore. So we adjusted her lumbars, we've adjusted her thoracics. Bring your arms down here. That's good. Those are other videos. Arms to your side. Now, she was born sunny side up. She gets a lot of occipital.
I found a spreader on the ground.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Subluxations, her atlas and her occiput. So, what I'm feeling for along the occipital ridge.
My lungs. Where are my lungs, Dada?
Your lungs are down here. So, you loved anatomy. It's so small. Yep. And your front
I
tube.
didn't know that.
Okay, Bianca, go onto your back, please. So she has an atlas subluxation on the right. It's an ASRP. And what I'm doing, I find the atlas and the vector that my arm is in. So our atlas is right posterior, so I'm finding just the point where, see if I go directly M to L, it's still tense. But if I go posterior, I feel it just relax under my finger. Right there, because she even moved right into it. So I'm going to hold that just a moment. Putting a little pressure on there. I know you can feel it.
Square, square, so square.
Oh, I see those squares.
Rectangle.
Mm-hmm. What does this feel like when we're doing it, Bianca?
Look at that circle.
Okay, now we're going to adjust the posteriority just a little bit more. And now I just did that and I felt actually a little flip just from a light, innate adjustment. And that's much better. Actually, all the tension in the posterior part of our cervicals has gone down. Legs, please, can you put your legs out, Bianca? Thank you. Good. So, she's 8 now. She's getting so big. She's 4 in that. I love this. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, why it's so important. Where I was, I see a lot of people adjusting babies, and they're doing, sustained contact. But from the difference between this and pressing compared to vectoring, the proper vector, just like any other adjustment, we're getting proper angles and vectoring for our adjustment, and dialing in just that perfect spot that innate wants to make change. Very often you can feel when you get in that perfect vector, and I know it sounds very strange, the body will loosen up. You'll feel even it just relax just a little bit, right when you get to that right point. And that vector is not just anterior, posterior. It's inferior and superior. It's all around that circle, just getting to that right angle. And when we have this is where we're vectoring. So instead of from a push, sustained contact as a push, right? You can use just the weight of your arm as a pendulum. You see that? And then there's less force. You're not forcing or pushing. You're actually creating continuity. And then you can dial that in, and then you have ease, and you'll see big changes. I have more videos to show later. Being at ease and adjusting children, I'm not the biggest fan of adjusting children with an activator. The reason why, it's a concussion. Cocoon. Even on the lowest setting, is almost too much for a baby. It doesn't need that much input into the neural system itself. Okay? Click, 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 click. To me, it's putting a mechanical impulse into something that is absolutely divine. And I'm not against activator, don't get me wrong. It's just not for children. When we're doing it properly, it's just so easy on us. It doesn't take a lot for our bodies. I've gone through elbow issues, shoulder issues. We're going to get to some of those things later on. I got a long day today. I can't give you all at once because of adjusting styles. So I've modified many things so I can have a lifetime of adjusting well. We're playing a full contact sport for our entire lives, if you think about it that way. How well we train for it's very important. It's not hard for the chiropractor to get hurt when you're tossing around people like pizzas all day long. Think about it, right? So keeping ourselves strong, having proper technique to save our body, very important. Okay? Anybody needs to get a bio break, you can get up anytime, all right? I don't think we're stopping until lunchtime. So, going back to the duro, Pasquale taught us about adjusting in the pause. I thought, what does that mean, adjusting in the pause? And so I asked him, what does the pause mean? Like with the breath, do they pause, or at the top of the breath or the bottom of the breath? No, I don't do adjusting with the breathing at all, anyway. But what his analogy was when the beach comes up, has everybody been to the beach? You see the waves come up, it paused for a moment before it goes back out. That pause. Someone posted this one the other day, I had to steal it, because that's where Schrodinger's cat was. That's the birth of quantum physics, right? The cat was both alive and dead at the same time. The birth of the quantum. So Pasquale, what he was saying was, we're adjusting in that quantum realm. And the pause was even funnier because, the cat paused. And this is Schrodinger's cat is alive and he's very angry. Anyway, I think that was funny. Maybe it was just me. But I'm going to show you some things later in adjusting and just waiting this one moment where if you think about how the CSF flowing like the beach, right? Coming up, pause at the top, and then as we're going out and delivering the adjustment in that moment. And what you're doing is honoring that neural system. Instead of from me, we're waiting when your body says the right time. Some people have a longer time in that, some people have very short ones. The same thing in the thoracics, of just finding that moment, and then very often it takes so much less force to make change, which is easier on us, right? So in that pause, and if you ever see any of the Duro pictures, like Mark Pick Productions, he's an SOT guy, beautiful cadaver studies with the Duro. But really think about, that's a fluid-filled sac. If I'm adjusting really at the top, everything's down here, I'm going to force through that, the body's really going to say no. But if we're getting the yeses flowing out, that pause right there, and that's not a lot of time. I'm a big fan of high volume practices, right? Because there are people that need chiropractic. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It might be high volume for you. It's not about comparing people, right? But sometimes we got to get people moving. Other people need our adjustment. Every moment I waste, I've sacrificed someone else's care. So I don't waste time. It's productive time. I do my best not to talk about fishing or surfing or skateboarding or whatever it is, the things I like to do. I try not to do that here. Or if we're talking about, I walk people to the front while we're talking about, oh yeah, that's great, Grace. Let's see you Wednesday, right? We keep that flow going, but honoring that adjustment. This room, this table, this is an altar, and we respect it as so. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, we got another one. I gotta shorten my intros. These are too long. It's like, all right.
Okay, so we have little Charlotte. Come a little closer. When was she born?
April 21st.
Ooh. So she was just born, and how was everything with her birth?
Good, natural, so
Good.
no
Now,
questions and she's out.
so she can see over here. Come a little closer. She wants to look at mommy. I'm gonna come over.
So I stopped adjusting babies on mommy's tummies, because I can't get the adjustment as well in honoring the mother and the breasts and all those things. And now I do most of it supine, and I'll show that later on.
A little head tilt to the side. And when I see that,
And yes, I'm coming in here like this instead of this. I noticed that too.
just bring her a little more ease. So right there, right between the shoulder.
We're adjusting the thoracics and just bringing ease, and the vertebra will move, and you can feel the
I
change.
just want to see her sort of kick out her leg. Yeah, exactly. And that's what she's doing. You can see it just slowly dropping down. That is good. Perfect. And then a wiggle. She's getting it all out. Who's this guy talking? There's
You
a
can
good
see her
exercise
turn her head
I want to
where
see.
she wasn't turning her head before, and from that thoracic adjustment, she's went.
Let's check this one right down here. Good. So good. Everything's going well. Nursing.
Things are going well, nursing, latching, everything
Moving.
nonstop.
And you know, anything less than a poop after every feeding is actually considered constipation. Even with adults too. So there we go. And then there's a little sacrum, and you can see she's wiggling it out right there. Good job. Yeah, she's so precious. So precious. Now I'm just going to turn her a little bit so she can look at you straight on.
Sure.
If she can see you yet. I'm just going to check right here. Yeah. So just a little bit of the atlas in the first
If you can see her, she did the adjusting. I'm not forcing that adjustment. She did it.
She is clear. She is so clear. Good job. I'm just going to check a little bit of jaw motion. There we go. Just a little bit bunched up on this left side. Just help her latching a little bit more. Good. Let me check. There's sphenoid. Yay.
Like no tension.
Yeah, he does it. He does it. We just saw babies here too. Good job, big girl. And then I'm just checking oxygen. Yay. She's all clear. She's clear. 100%. She's all right.
Little.
Oh, perfect. Good job, Mama.
Yay.
Good job, Mama.
That is an innate baby adjustment. That's one of the approaches that we teach. And, you know, it's honoring for that baby. And what we're doing is bringing continuity into the system and getting her body aware of that subluxation. And then that brain can take care of it, right? That brain, she's wiggling it out. And you feel the vertebra right under my hands. And it's not forcing. Sometimes we got to get to move some bones, okay? But it's not a force. Especially when they're that small. They get a little bit older and have a little life and, you know, bouncing off the walls or whatever they do. Sometimes they need a little bit more input. But that newborn, really taking that approach of just being at ease while they're adjusting. And that comes from inside of us too. It's an inside job. It's really as within, so without. So the clearer we are inside, that's really where we've got to set ourselves up for the day. We've got to get in meditation, get in peace. Not thinking about the bills you got to pay or whatever's happening in your relationships. It's not easy, right? No one ever said chiropractic was easy, right? Because it's really stuff we have to work on ourselves. When we start seeing things come into our office, really that relates to us. My mother lived with us for a few years. She was, you know, by herself. She wasn't able to pay her bills. She wasn't feeding herself. And so, you know, we grabbed her and brought her home. I didn't realize that was happening. And then the dementia issues got worse and worse and worse. And she had, somebody said it was sundowner syndrome, whatever. My mother grew up in the Bronx. She's 4'11", blonde hair, blue eyes, and she had to defend herself in life. She did. And she went back to that little girl. And, you know, in the wintertime in Florida, it's, you know, dark, 5 o'clock. My kids are karate, I got soccer games. We're here. My wife wouldn't go in the house until I got home. And my mother was standing there. She was waiting for a burglar to come in with her cane. So I had to walk in, I had to stop her, take it off, bring her back to her room, all these things. And, you know, it's hard. No one prepares you for those things in life, right? I'm working on a seminar now really adjusting the elderly, okay? The geriatric patient. No one talks about that. We're going to have all the baby boomers are graduating soon, right? So, you know, I think we really need to have some approaches that really focus on the elderly as well. So we put my mother into assisted living. And all the things, going through all this stuff, really just getting to that point, I had patients coming in going through the same stuff with their husbands or mothers or whoever. And it was more husbands than wives, I have to say. But we were consoling each other, you know. Oh, how was your day? Oh man, it was long. We got through this. And, you know, having a little bit of camaraderie to share what we're going through. It came in the right time. We all sort of had this experience together. God gave me things so I could heal, and I could help other people heal. And I wasn't alone. But it was so interesting. I never had these conversations before. Things didn't come up before until I was going through it. So it's so interesting how we see these things even in our practice come in to help us. And I feel blessed for it. Oh, there's another one. Good bass on here.
Okay, we have Wyatt. He was born yesterday at 7:34 p.m. Well, this morning, 7:34 a.m. And he had shoulder dystocia. So he was stuck. And first thing, I'm checking in the cervicals. I feel a lot of right side cervical
You can
stuff.
see his face.
Right above the shoulder.
I went through a lot today, you know?
And
Because what they did was he came out one shoulder and then they
just
pulled.
below that, right at T, you can see, as soon as I touch that, it sort of breathes. So I'm at T2.
What I also say to do is kind of squeeze. I was trying to squeeze. I'm not doing it here because they want to be squeezed.
Until
You know?
he's more at ease there and allowing the adjustment. There we go.
And all that moving,
Movement is what I
he's
really
working
want
it
to
out.
see.
He's
You can see
doing
he's
the work.
getting more at ease. Good. You just relax into it. You see the difference? Beautiful. Wyatt, good job. So I'm checking the rest of this vertebra right here at I'm right at T10.
Again, you can see his face again, right in that T10 area.
I'm just holding that spot, Wyatt.
If you think about it, that's adrenals. He just went through a very stressful situation in his life already.
See, he just integrated. A lot different adjustment than a big change, isn't it? On an adult. And then a little bit down here at sacrum. I'm finding that right there. That's one, and he just wants to kick it out and stretch it. You feel that? I'm holding that. Here we go, Wyatt. He's just peaceful. Good job.
You can see the difference in that baby's face. Even his breathing.
Dropping down.
And he's open. And he was just born that day. He was born that morning. This is like 10 o'clock in the morning. He was probably born at 7 a.m. I think I said it. I don't remember the time exactly.
His main subluxations here in the neck. I mean, there was a lot of work for him coming out here, so I'm right back at it, okay? And I'm just holding that. There we go. Good job, Wyatt. And I can really feel it just melting on my fingers. You can see that stretch. We call it meningeal tension. That's deep, deep tension. And he's been wrapped up for 9 months pretty tightly. And to see that level of ease is fantastic. You're getting it. Good job. That is it. He's almost done. Just letting this just relax. Good. You did it. And it's just soft and perfect right here on the side. And everything's at ease. He is perfectly balanced. And you are all done, Wyatt. Welcome.
Now, I didn't bring a spine model today. How do you find those subluxations? You know, that's the other thing. How do you find those subluxations? You can't find a subluxation on X-ray anyway. You know that, because there's no nerve component on X-ray. All right? The Gonstead people even say that. You can't find a subluxation on X-ray. You can find the misalignment that leads to the subluxation. What we're doing here, I'm feeling the tone of every muscle around the vertebra. If there is a higher vibration, right, now there could be a lower tone on the other side, We're feeling that. It's not just a high side and punch it, but really feeling the tone around that vertebra, all the attachments, all those muscles. You know what the spine looks like when it's dissected with all the muscles. Getting in tune with those, feeling every single one of them down, just like you're an instrument on a guitar or a violin. That's what I'm doing with that baby. And holding that baby and just feeling, where's that tone, where's that vibration, where is it guiding me? We have to let ourselves go and get out of our educated mind too. Because really, God bless you, we're going innate to innate, spirit to spirit. If I let my educated get in the way, that's the dum-dum, right? That's the stuff learned by other men and women. But innate is a spiritual consciousness, God in our body. And allowing ourselves to connect innate to innate, that baby has no barriers, right? It's 100% spirit. That's another thing I just want to go to. BJ and Dee Dee said, people aren't ready to hear God and spirit yet. We're going to use the terms universal and innate. Turning it down a little bit. I think it's time to turn it back up. People are ready for things. We got to say our things. You know, I don't always play Christian music in the office. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I play heavy metal. You know, I like rock and roll too, okay? And I talk about God. Hey, God, your body's healing right now. That's God in your body. I don't always say it. Sometimes I do. You're clear of subluxations. You're ready to go transform the world. But helping them know they're bigger than their flesh. There's more to them than their aches and pains. We know that. But helping them realize we're working with the you inside of you. That inner intelligence. I'm going to mention this right now. And this is from the Florida Chiropractic Society. And do you think this is honoring the you within you if we go the other way? Anybody who wants to read this out loud?
Chiropractors don't inject, they adjust.
Yes. You know, some of the gentleman mentioned Florida before. I'm on the PAC in Florida. I'm on the Florida Chiropractic Society board. And not too far off from this, they wore this in Tallahassee in the Capitol, you know. I wasn't on the board yet, actually. I'm like, I'm not on the board yet, but I better get one of those shirts. And wore this to the Capitol. And let people know what we're really truly all about. Chiropractors, why in the world would I inject anything into somebody? I've got an adjustment for them. I mean, why would you give somebody, you know, I don't know, junk when you give them a diamond? Okay? This can't be the road that we're going down. Do I actually even have to say this? Do we actually have to have shirts printed about it? There are so many people, and the students, I hear it, well, what's really the difference? You know, if we do this and you get paid for that and get it, you know, whatever, we could probably start, you know, delivering vaccines. And the bile hitting the back of your throat, it's like, you just want to shake them, and then you want to kill them, but then you realize you can't do either one, and then you try and educate them, right? But they're getting garbage from garbage people. I'm sorry, did I say that? I don't mean it that way, but people that are poorly educated in our philosophies. Because it's not hard, but it is to step out and say, there's God inside you, and it's on the job. And I tell people now, I don't take care of any car accidents, but if one of my people gets in an accident or their friend, I'm not going to say no to them, right? And I say, you got in that accident on purpose. God guided you in here on purpose. You needed a good kick in the butt to get yourself taken care of, and that came in the form of a car accident for you. You need this. You're going to be better than you were before this accident. You didn't have that accident by mistake. It's not an accident, it's a collision, right? There was no accident, there's a reason for it. That guided you through this door. Just like that mom with that baby. I don't know why I'm hearing. Am I in the right place? You know, always guarding the sacred trust. I love that part too. But I'm just going to leave this here. I'm not going to put it on your table. It doesn't need to be. I love it that we're doing it, right? But even that we have to acknowledge it, it's too much for me. It hurts my heart, right? This is my first manual. adjusting seminar, and then we made these other ones I'm really excited about. It takes a lot to make a manual, it really does. Physicians deal with the physical only. Chiropractors with both the physical and the spiritual. D.D. Palmer, page 9, again, the chiropractor 1914. Are we dumbing ourselves down by chiropractic physician? You know, chiropractic physician is less of a moniker than chiropractor. Okay? And I'm preaching to the choir here, I'm sure. But realize, you know, it's getting a little crazy out there. We're fighting really to just maintain what we have instead of progressing it farther of where it really should be in its place.